Hey everyone, it's the Shawn. Welcome to another edition of the Women Business Leaders Show. Today we have Tilde Guajardo joining us. She's going to be talking about really building your presence, building your image, and really getting out there. So, we always do this show to be supportive of women business leaders, people that are doing it, people that want to do it in the future, people that want to step out there, really geared to women in business, a topic I'm passionate about since I gave my TEDx talk on that several years ago. And we really like to focus in on what women are doing and the great things. And so Tilde's going to bring us some great tips, I know, from my experience with her. We're really excited to have her. My regular co-host, Leah Woodford, is on assignment right now, so I'm handling alone. For those who don't tune in as often, I'm the Shawn. I'm a corporate lawyer by training. I help people with everything related to ownership and control of their business. That's mergers, partnership agreements, capital raises, contracts. And I also spend a lot of time focusing on the future of business. With women in business being a subsegment of that, because I think women have a growing role in business. I think we're just starting to have the marketplace emerge and evolve in such a way that women can make different contributions. Want to ask you, the audience members, drop your comments wherever you're watching. It might be on one of our LinkedIn feeds, it might be on the Women Business Leaders YouTube channel, might be somewhere else. Wherever you're watching, go ahead and drop those comments. We want to hear from you, even on the Women Business Leaders YouTube channel. Remind you, we don't do investment advice and we don't do legal advice on the show. For those things, consult your advisors. But really excited to have Tilde here today. So, Tilde, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Shawn. I'm happy to be here. Happy
Yes.
International Women's Day.
I know, perfect day for filming this show, right? So
it is perfect.
I try to support women in business day in and day out, but we get these special days here. It is a perfect day for a recording. So I know you've been very active in this space, and you've spent some time there, and you work with people to really build their presence. So why don't you talk a little bit about kind of how do you step out there and be a woman business leader in your opinion? What does it take? What are the steps, and what does it look like?
Well, the first thing, it takes courage. I think for anybody who's in entrepreneurship, whether you're a male or a female, the first thing is you have to have that courage. You have to have the confidence and the resiliency to be able to take a lot of no's and to be able to fail and to pivot and to just, give yourself some grace. Mm-hmm. To build. I mean, if you really know your why and you really have that vision of the type of business or the business that you want to build, and you have that end goal in mind, what I always tell women that I work with is, it's not about changing the goal. It's about changing maybe the path that gets you there. So, yeah. The three things that I would definitely say is the confidence, courage, and clarity that women need, whether they're starting a business or continuing to grow their business, for sure.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to talk about in a vacuum, to have confidence, to have clarity, to have goals. And, I'm a big fan of goal setting. It's a big piece of my world, right, as I help people execute their business plans, help people build business plans. So goals is a big part of that strategy. But how do you take it out of the vacuum from saying have confidence, have courage, have direction into actual, real actionable steps or things that people should be doing?
Yeah, well, the way that I've learned how to build my own self-confidence and is really courage is being able to push through those fears, not necessarily that you don't have fears, because we all have fears, but it's really taking a chance on yourself and pushing through those fears, taking the risks that are necessary so that you can continue to grow your business, grow yourself. Without taking those risks, you're not growing your confidence at all. So, it's kind of like the chicken and the egg
right.
dilemma. You can't have confidence without courage, and you can't have courage without a little bit of confidence either to push through some of those fears.
Well, and that is something I think I see with women business owners and even male business owners is that kind of cycle, right? If you get things moving the right direction, you jump out there, you try something, have something good happen, that gives you more confidence, you try something else. So you can really build an upward cycle, but for many that are just getting started, it takes a little while to get that ball rolling, get that head of steam started.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I know for me, the vision that I had for Womanars was so big that it was that paralysis by analysis.
Right.
I didn't know where to start as a solopreneur at that time. And and it was overwhelming. And I think that's what really keeps a lot of women from even taking that first step into just trying, you know, to make that dream of a reality. But again, from my own experience, as soon as I took that first step and toward my goal and toward my vision, doors just started to really open freely and easily for me. I was very fortunate to have been surrounded by some incredible women that came into my life, who supported me, guided me, mentored me. And without them, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Okay, so two follow-ups on that. So first you said you started building some mental. How did you even get the first step started? And then the second piece, while I'm still thinking about it, is you built this team of supporters, you know, of people that kind of were having your back. How do you put those two pieces together?
So for me, it was stepping out in faith. You know, I had a vision of the platform that I wanted to build. And initially, you know, it's always been the goal for Womanars has always been to inspire, educate, and connect women all over the world. And so the first piece for me was the inspirational side. And I saw it being done through storytelling videos of women who had overcome their own obstacles and challenges to get to where they are today. And these are real women, real stories, real inspiration series, which people can go to our YouTube channel and check out. But I had no idea what I was doing when it came to video production. I had never done it before. I didn't know quite how to do it. And so I just started asking people if they knew anyone that could help me with this. And I ended up meeting a wonderful woman by the name of Deborah Gloria. I'm not sure if you know her or not, Shawn. She's a celebrated photographer here in Dallas who just happened back then to be wanting to get back into videography. And so she came alongside me and offered to do these, to produce the videos with me. And then I had another woman come alongside of me who offered to help me create the first Womanars website. And so for me, it was just taking that leap of faith and just asking, having the courage to ask for help. And I think that's one of the critical things that I would advise anyone who's thinking about starting a business. Don't think that you have to do it or that you can do it all on your own. You have to be willing and have the courage to ask for help when you know that you need it. And that's really how, for me, my vision came to life, is just with those baby steps and being able to just ask for help and do the things that I was uncomfortable with, like interviewing people. And so it just the more you do something, the more you feel comfortable and confident in it. And now, you know, I'm doing these Facebook Lives like you are and doing all sorts of things that I never thought I would be doing. Yeah.
So, you know, back when I gave my TEDx talk, I talked a lot about the uniqueness in women. And I think you're bringing out one of these characteristics, which is you're working as a team, right? I mean, this is a team environment you've built around you. Any tips for that for women that want to build something bigger? You know, how does that team work, and how do you build that culture?
Yeah, well, I am still a team of one as far as Womanars is concerned, but I collaborate with and I partner with people all over the world. And so that has been the critical component for me, and not only in being the lead organizer for a TEDx event, because that was a really teaching moment for me, and being able to surround myself with the right team members. So anytime that I, you know, whether it's with a TEDx event that I'm organizing or any event where I'm asking for volunteers or other collaborators, if I want to collaborate with other people, it's always to make sure that I'm surrounding myself and collaborating with people who are aligned with my mission and vision and values. Right. That's probably the most critical point for me in building my teams and who I work with, is to ensure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, and so you got to get that alignment among all your team members, and I certainly think that's something women in business tend to do well, is they build that alignment, right? They get everybody working well together. And
I will say also, you know, to know your strengths and to know what you're good at and where your weaknesses are as well, so that you can bring in those team members that will that will balance you out and create a really strong team with all the skill sets and traits that you need to accomplish your goal.
And I think that's something, and I'm doing some work now with some personality style stuff in a new division of my business. And I think women tend to pay a lot more attention to that, right? What's the dynamic? What's the blend? How are we going to work together? What is this going to feel like? Men, from my experience, are more like, oh, well, we're all just going to make it happen, right? I don't care what their personality style was, but getting that right blend of people is critical.
Well, and I think that's one of the main differences, between men and women is the women are really good at nurturing and collaborating. Mm-hmm. So fostering those relationships and really listening, better listeners maybe. But it's why we need more women leaders, I believe, in the boardroom, in the C-suite, in all those positions of leadership that we're lacking right now, because we do bring a different dynamic, a different perspective. And as research has shown, it affects the bottom line in a positive way for companies that have more women leaders in their upper echelon management groups.
Yes, we've seen those statistics and studies. It's my personal take. I think it's because a lot of that cultural thing that women bring, they bring the collaboration. As your organizations get bigger, or even small, you need to be branching out and interfacing with other people. And it's something that I find women do very well. And it's something, audience members that are maybe newer in our business, I encourage them to think about, how do you build that collaboration, right? How do you lay that foundation? Any tips, Tilde, for making it safe or making it work well when you're collaborating with others? You've done it in a couple of your projects and things. How do you reach out, you find other people, but how do you, any particular tips on how you work together with people?
It's kind of like a great relationship or marriage. Have healthy boundaries and establish what those boundaries are, what the roles and responsibilities are for each person. Yeah. And set those in place. As an attorney, how important that is, Shawn. Yeah. And, I highly recommend that all those details be ironed out before you agree to collaborate with anyone, and ensure that both of you are protected and respected in every way possible. Because a lot of friends might want to do business with you, but it's a totally different dynamic than your friendship might be. And as for me, I would hate to lose a friendship over a collaboration gone bad or a partnership gone bad. So you really have to think it through and establish those roles, responsibilities, and boundaries, and put them in writing.
I think it's a great idea, and that's one thing I encourage people to do, whether it's a partnership agreement or a contract. I sit down with folks and I say, hey, let's write down what everybody's going to do. And it's amazing how much discussion that can spark. And sometimes things work out and sometimes they don't. But just getting it out of your head and saying, I expect you to do A, B, C. I will do C, D, E, F. And just putting that on a paper, even if it's a simple grid, gets people thinking and really gets them to clear their expectations for each other.
Yeah, and again, being willing to walk away from a deal.
Yes.
Right? Being willing to walk away from a deal that is not aligned with your values, with your mission, that feels a little uncomfortable for whatever reason, really listening to our intuition as women, because that's one of the superpowers I'd like to say that we have, that we tend to ignore too much of the time and end up kicking ourselves for doing that. So really tap into that inner self, that higher self, your intuition, and listen to it, because it's there for a reason. And mine is always right.
Yeah. I'd love to zoom in a little bit with what you're doing with Womanars and how that's going. And, tell us a little more about kind of your business world and what you're engaging in day to day and what it's like being in business.
So for me, last year, I ventured out into Europe. I really felt like I was being called to go and expand the Womanars brand into Europe. And so I spent 7 months of 2018 in Spain and Croatia, and ended up having some wonderful collaborations with women there. So right now I'm doing a lot of speaking, teaching, training women leaders, as well as, speaking to audiences. I'm a veteran. So I'm really focusing on my speaking, teaching, and training abilities, which is what I did in Croatia and Spain. I was teaching women entrepreneurs and women leaders workshops there. I collaborated with the Impact Hub in Zagreb. Was fortunate enough to meet some people who were totally aligned with the mission, vision, and the values that I have for Womanars, and really just had a blast doing what I love and meeting some incredible people. And now here back in the States, doing the same thing, reaching out to companies, corporations, where we can go in and really start to train their women leaders and emerging women leaders how to have that confidence, and courage to apply for those positions that they've been thinking about or think that they might not be qualified for, but really how to communicate better, all of those things. And so I'm really excited about the future. We have some future projects going on in Zagreb as well as in Spain. I'm collaborating with a woman in Spain, launching a book with her featuring several women, Spanish women leaders, that should be coming out later this year. So some retreats, Womanars retreats, one in Italy in September, and then another one in Croatia. So all of those things being centered on women's empowerment for women leaders, as well as just for women who want to have some fun, get away, and connect with other women as well.
Yeah, I love the retreat ideas, particularly the women-focused idea. Sounds like you've got a lot of pieces expanding out of the business. What do you do to keep yourself centered and grounded as you're trying to run all these different pieces?
I pray. So one of the things, I combine spirituality with positive psychology practices in everything that I do, everything that I teach and speak about. So for me, my spiritual life is essential to my remaining centered and happy and aligned, and also knowing what my values are. One of my key values is, appreciation of beauty and nature. And so I spend a lot of time walking outside. That is where I find my peace, my zen, and my connection with God, which is critical for me and my well-being.
Yeah. Okay. So, centering, and I think that's important for everybody, men and women, to stop and balance things, right? And to understand the harmony and the flow.
Yeah, because you can't work all the time and you can't have fun all the time. So for me, it's really important for me to have some fun, incorporate some fun into my daily life, or just some curiosity thing, experiencing something new, different. That for me keeps me happy, and meeting new people obviously falls in that category. So, but if you're an entrepreneur, definitely you need to find that healthy balance between work and fun, and time with your loved ones, obviously.
So as we wrap up here, what other tip or idea that we didn't cover today do you think would be good for that woman business leader that's, looking to get into business or step things up to the next level?
Something that we didn't cover.
Any tips or ideas? Put you on the spot, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I'm trying to think. It's something that would help women grow and expand, whether it's in business or in their personal life, is just to stay curious. Mm-hmm. I think the one thing that always leads to growth and to expand even our creativity, to expand our bottom line, is to remain curious about doing things differently, about new experiences, about meeting new people. Just stay in that curious mode, because when we're constantly curious, it also doesn't allow us to be judgmental and calling something good or bad, right? I mean, we're just curious, and it's interesting to see or experience something different. So that would be my one piece of advice, is to stay curious about life and business.
Fantastic. All right. So Tilde, you're a wealth of information. You've got some great retreats and other things coming up. How do people learn more about you? How do they check out your stuff and get in touch with you?
So you can go to iamtilde.com, which is all about me and teaching and facilitating and the coaching that I do, as well as womanarch.com to check out our videos there and learn more about what we do with organizations, businesses, and individuals through Womanars.
Yes. Well, wonderful. Thank you, Tilde, for making the time today. I always like to ask our audience members, take a moment, pat yourself on the back for doing the hard work, investing in yourself.
Absolutely.
Encourage you to drop your comments wherever you're watching, whether it's LinkedIn feed or Shawn McBride fans and audiences on Facebook, Women Business Leaders YouTube channel, wherever you're at. We want to hear from you. We want to learn what you're seeing. You can also see past episodes, upcoming episodes, and get on our email list at futureofwomeninbusiness.com. So go check that out, folks. Thank you for being here, Tilde. It was a lot of fun, and thank you, audience members, for joining us.
Thanks, Shawn.